Alright, so we're back in with it with the Luigi's Mansion Advanced tutorial. In Area 3, to Clairvoyant. Pretty simple, you know. I mean, you literally just can do a flashlight skip. And make sure you flash the bulb until you see the candles come up all the way. And you can start moving a little bit right about somewhere in that area. I mean, you have much lag time, so I mean, don't be worried if you do it a little bit later. Just make sure you start talking to her on time. And then, I mean, this is self-explanatory. Mash, dude, mash. Really. Mash, 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 mash. Unless you want to sit here and be like a storyteller and start reading Japanese, which I would not be able to do. So, good luck with that. On the other note, I used to mash with thumbs, and it loads me 6 seconds over mashing the way I do now. That's why I mash differently on Clairvoyant, particularly. That's why I say find the way that's fast for you. Where are your reflexes in your fingers, like, fast? I mean, I can even be slightly particular with it, you know, mash at the end of your fingers. Because if you mash at, like, the pointed part of your fingers, where it pushes in, it reacts a little bit, because you have, like, a little bit of, like, flesh there, right? But at the end of your fingernail, it's a little bit more, like, calloused, or a little bit more, like, bone a little bit at the end of that. You want to hit that first so that your mind reacting to you pressing the button happens at the time you want it to, as opposed to slightly lagged by your flesh, you know what I mean? So I'm hitting it with the end of my fingers. Same idea with thumbs. And with Clairvoyant, suck up, which is quite interesting. She's one of the weirdest suck-ups in the game, literally. Because she basically gives herself to you, so she has like no pull at all. And so it makes it really hard to actually pull her into the vacuum, so a lot of people will use C-stick to use it. You can just like scrape around the edges of the controller stick to suck her up if you prefer. We can do that here. It tends to be a little bit finicky, as you can see, which is why I would prefer you to learn this other method, which is a C-stick for this, but different than normal, not like Bogmire earlier. You're going to do, like, you're going to point in the opposite direction of the ghost, and you're going to do C-circles. Make sure you're still pointing in the opposite direction, though, because that still matters. The controller stick as well. And get yourself to the chest. You can choose to read the box first before you get to the chest if you want to, whatever you prefer. But like when you're doing like boom animations or any animation, you're focusing on moving the animation. So you notice how I'm not like scraping edges. I'm just kind of like moving the controller stick around just a little bit just to move the animation particularly around, because you want to like stick it and move it around so that it's not so wiggly everywhere, and then it gets like popped into the vacuum at the proper place and gets into the vacuum right. You have to like visualize the string and just try to get the string to be shorter between that and the vacuum any way you possibly can. Like work with it, look at it, and see what it is. It's a complex process with this game, one of the hardest optimized games in the game. It's blamed a lot on RNG, but it's a lot of optimization too. A lot of problems. I'm gonna head to tea room. Head to good old tea room. You miss some ice? Same thing here, like, you know, go back to the door when you get the ice. Flashlight skip. Optimal movement. I mean, even I kind of like hate away and kind of forget and say, oh, I forgot to do it there. You know, just try to remember as much as you can. The more you keep telling yourself, I need to do this movement here, I need to do this movement here, you'll remember it by default eventually. More often. And then you'll just go faster in your runs. You'll be like, dang, how did I save 10 seconds? Or why is it this entire run 10 or 20 seconds easier than it used to be? And I can PB by a little bit more. I can get 56:30 now instead of 55 or 56:50 that I have now, for example. Whatever. Small things that make a difference. It's really like focus. I mean, suck-ups are more than anything in this game. That's what I would spend the most time focusing and paying attention to when it's fast. Don't just do them and just say, oh dang, that was fast, and not realize what you did when you did it. Pay attention to what you're doing. And then try to do it again. Muscle memory, everything. Everything you can do. The reason why I stopped here is because this is a good example of why I turned my flashlight off. Exploders, as I said before. You can see the ground better, it's easier to get by. Alright, so if over here, if I can click this. And we'll do this then. There we go. I got the save state now. Astral. I can at least take time to explain because it doesn't spawn until I do this. So like, the middle, first of all, in the middle, I probably explained this in the beginner tutorial too, just because it's knowledge. The middle head is the only thing that spawns. This doesn't do anything. This doesn't do anything. Only the middle head actually spawns. So when you go in here, you want to go directly for the middle head, and you want to react as quickly as possible to turn around and get the ice skip on the first guy. And you don't want to get locked behind that because you'll get the scare skip. So don't do that. I want to get in here, get far enough. Ooh, I need to get further away so he's not already spawned. Wait a minute. Or I could just save state it. One or the other. Let's see. Alright. Let's see if you get close enough. So I have to load these manually. You get close enough here, you don't get the scare skip, and then you can flash them just like that. You want to get like in the middle. Like always pay attention to like where the vacuum stream is and kind of like react to it. Don't pull against it, and be in favor to it and make the animation tight where it is. Don't change what it is. That kind of makes sense. Is kind of what I'm trying to think of. Every time I think about an animation thing, I'll try to speak of it because it's so insanely complex. And you can be as far away as possible with this double and get faster that way as well, the further you separate yourself. And then I prefer to go to the chair here first, personally. But that's just me. We'll go through this again. Gotta make sure you turn around. You almost have to anticipate yourself doing it to a degree. Make sure you get the horse head though. Don't not get the horse head. I've done that too. Don't not get the horse head. And this is a good place for not only gold bars but also mushrooms to appear in the lights, so be aware of that. Oh dang, rip me. Didn't even hear him spawn. That's a good example, by the way. I'm glad that happened. If you have a banana where a ghost spawns, Like that, you see how I didn't get spun up by it? Don't lean back right away. Lean forward, suck up the banana, wait till you hear the banana get sucked up, and then lean back. And then continue. And make sure you have control of the ghost so you don't lose him into another banana like that. But you probably get the idea. But I prefer to go over here because then I can go for a quick reaction here, and then I already know he's in here. And most of the time, he reacts to another situation first. You can also do like a key stop, like I can grab the key during the situation, stop the boo, and come back and get it if I want. That's a choice situation depending on your situation. You'll see runners do that, that'll come in handy in some situations and not in others, so it's kind of, it depends. Whether you grab the key during it or open the chest during while you pause, you can pause the boo, open the chest, start getting it while the key spawns in, continue getting the boo while the key spawns in, and then move to the door and get the key. You know what I'm saying? I can try to show an example of that. Let's see what we got here. Alright. Okay. So like in this example, we will grab the key and get it over here. Like I said, you can also literally open the chest and then continue to get the boo and do that as well. So any one of those options. Now for a really, really, really fun part of the run. Losses, that's going to be a fun. So let's see if we can get a good save state on, a good place here. Because there's much stuff to explain. I probably explained this a lot in the other tutorial too, because it's kind of hard to explain it the beginner way. I just went back, hold on. Loaded a save state as opposed to... Well, I guess I go back up there anyway, don't I? That's fine. I'll just show you one more example. Maybe I can show you the other idea that I had this time, if I remember to do it at the right moment. Alright, so let's do this way. So I'm going to leave the boo over here, we're going to open the chest. And you can either like get the boo down to a lower number and guide the key to the chest, or do what I did there. One or the other. So just make sure I get one this time, at least at this point, alright? And then we'll try to get one later. There's a bunch of different scenarios. It's a reaction-based game. In a lot of ways, a lot of things can happen. It's hard for me to tell you everything that can happen. That's why I say ask questions if you don't know. Alright, we're going to try to get this right at the beginning of the boss fight if I can. You know I didn't really have to do it manually, that's fine. Just do this then. Sorry, sometimes the save states are manual for me at the moment, so... I should have just done that in the first place. Just in case. Okay, so with this boss fight, we're going to go straight right in the beginning. Right to the right, straight right. And we're going to go around the corner. And then pop them, basically. You're going to want to tie right around the corner and then pop them. Because if you go right around the tight edges of the corner, it'll get them every single time. And then basically, you just have to anticipate the ice there, basically. So like I see the ice here, I'm anticipating the ice, and then you start moving left. You want to have just a little bit of an angle, maybe like a 45-degree angle or something. Ice, I personally wait a little bit. And then you kind of want to look at the booze. Those are really good molosses. But you want to look at like a... You want to look at like the booze after you do the first ice shot. Some people do 2 ice shots, that's a preference. But you want to like have a... Make sure I have controller cam for this too. You want to have like a good eyesight of the shadows of the booze. So you know where they are. You want to do this in every... boost so that you don't accidentally bonk on them. It happens a lot, but if you pay attention to the shadows, you can get all the backup ones after it's over a lot easier. Because otherwise, just kind of eyeing it by looking at them particularly makes it pretty hard. The shadows are the best way to go. So hug the corner, go around there, react for ice, and depending on where the ice is going to vary this situation. Yeah, that's a good backup. See, I paid attention to the shadows there and found one. So like typically for my strat, the way that I do it, it's a little bit safer to wait a little bit longer before I shoot the ice there. But you can play it riskier and sometimes get it a little bit faster and shoot it right when you get to the end. I'm in sidestep now, which doesn't matter in this boss fight, but... You want to try to get this angle as soon as possible, because as soon as you have it, the sooner you can shoot it off. If it takes you a while to get it, it's unlikely to be good when you actually do it, so... And then if you get this is a good example. If I'm too aggressive with the ice, you'll get a troll boo, is what we call it. So you want to be very careful to be very light with the ice that's coming out of your vacuum when this happens. Very light when you get around it. Especially don't click it down. It's just going to run away right away. You want to make sure you're not clicking down and push the analog part, not the digital part, all the way until you get him, and even maybe a little bit lighter than that, just to make sure when he gets close to you, to make sure that you actually get him and move your body to him instead, to avoid that from happening, because you could get lucky and that happens, or you could have him run around you for 15 seconds in between cycles because he doesn't know where he is for a while for some reason. Okay. But if you pay attention to the booze and you see him like hiding behind the other side of the unicorn, when you come around here, most likely there's a good chance they'll be stuck behind there when it's over too. You can also use ice shots if you get comfortable with it as well. I don't know why I thought it was done after that. So yeah, it was very unaggressive. Always analog with the last boo, especially if you have to go all the way across to the other side. And he's sitting there waiting to switch. Because his AI will literally sit there and like spin around waiting to go from the first cycle to the last cycle, and sometimes it takes a while for the game to realize it. I don't know what it's based off of. Sometimes we've tried to like get hit intentionally to see if it stops it. Nothing really seems to stop it consistently. Now, there's a lot of different situations that can happen. The ice can just be out of bounds and you walk over here and there's no ice. We'll just pretend that happened. If that happens, you just keep on walking and go over here to the other side and hope that it's over there. Because that's happened to me too, where it's not on either side. That's what you hope doesn't happen. There's really not much you can do when they're not on either side. You kind of just have to do what you can, really. But basically, this will happen to you, and this should be the medium phase, right? Yeah, would be a good example too. I have a medium phase strat as well here. I want to make sure I'm on this correctly. I am, okay. Medium phase strat, most people don't know much about this. You look in front of you, you see the boos, and you wait until you see them in front of you, and then you shoot ice. You time it that way. That's the strat that I use, which most of the time it at least gets boos, because sometimes you end up in that situation where like you don't get anything because no one attacks you and you're just kind of sitting around, especially for like earlier runners, or it can be really complex. Medium phase, you have no idea what to do at all. It's the first time I've ever seen that not go well. It's a small phase. Well, it is now. Okay, we can do a small phase one. Small phase is a little bit simpler, a lot simpler. You just wait till they attack you, and you move out the way and you ice them. Try to anticipate them and ice them as soon as possible so you get them right away. This guy's really being something, isn't he? Alright. I'm going to try to get the medium phase again, for an example as well. I have a real messed up angle here. Should be the medium phase. Okay. So pretend somehow that happened. And then we kind of just want to lead this. Let me see how we did that there. And I got the troll move, but you see I got a 2-cycle out of the medium phase. That was a really good example. You just have to pay attention and line it up, and it's like similar to the beginning strat. You just have to like pay attention to where the boos are kind of moving to the left and anticipate when to shoot the ice and just go with it. It's pretty complex. But for an advanced wise, you'll understand it after a while. So that's pretty much molasses for the most part there. It's quite an interesting boss fight for sure. Quite an interesting boss fight. Unless you ask me any questions, there's a lot of stuff in there you can't explain it all. It's pretty complex stuff. I do the best I can with it. I gave you a lot of different like scenarios that could happen there. There's always another one someday where someone like brings molasses out of bounds and breaks the game. It happened to someone else. Anything. Or a boo or something, I forget what it was. But anyway, this is a cutscene, so we'll be back with the Area 4 part of this tutorial sooner. We'll be back soon. See y'all then. Hope you can join me.